You guys asked, and I'm delivering. Dynamic filters, Power BI, SQL Server analysis services, multidimensional, and tabular models. And maybe just a little bit of SQL Server. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Patrick with Guy in the Cube, and in today's video we're going to continue talking about dynamic filters in Power BI. I know we talked about it in the last video and a video or two ago, and so if you haven't watched that video, you got to be sure to go watch it, because I'm not going to walk you through step by step on how to get started with this. That's a great getting started video, so you need to definitely go watch that one before you watch this video. Okay, so once you have this video watched, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to wait, right? So don't go watch it. And so once you have it watched, you need to make sure that you understand that the first step in this is that you identify the report that you want to pass the value to, publish that report to Power BI, and get the URL of the published report. First step, okay? And wait for you to get it. Okay, you got the URL. So now that you have the URL, let's go ahead and build this into our semantic models, our tabular and multidimensional models. To get started, after you get that report URL, the next thing you need to do is identify the table that contains the value that you want to pass as a filter to the report. Let's say it along. Let's everybody say this. Say this with me, all right? Identify the table that contains the value that you want to pass to the report that you have the URL for, the one that you publish. Identify that value, identify that table, and what we're going to do with that table, in both cases, we're going to add a column, okay? In the case of the semantic model, we're going to add a custom column. In the case of the multidimensional model, we're going to add a name calculation. So let's start with the tabular model. In the tabular model, open up SQL Server Data Tools. You can see I have SQL Server Data Tools open here. And what you're going to do is add a new column. So right there, let's call it can't spell, PBI, making it even more challenging for me. Okay, so let's close this. Let's close the properties window for now. Come back to that one. That's important. So now I have my column created. Once you have the column created with that URL that you copied, I have a little, my favorite text editor that I'm using today is Management Studio. It varies for me. Most of the time it's Notepad, but I'm in a Management Studio kind of move today. All right. So once you identify, you're pretty much just doing a concatenation. You're building a string. And so here's my report URL. You can see that's my report URL that I copied. And then I add a query string right after it. Question mark, filter equals name of the table / name of the column. Okay. And then EQ, and then you need to continue the concatenation by starting a single quote, and then you identify the name of the column, right? You specify the name of the column that contains the value, then you close out with another single quote. Something very important, the data type for that column must be what? A string. It has to be a string, okay? Copy that or build it out the way you want to do it. Go back to the tabular model, paste it in there, press enter. And in a few seconds, depending on how much good of a machine you have, I have a nice Surface Book here. You'll see the whole URL specified there. But wait, you're not done yet. This is where the fun begins. Check this out. Check this out. So once you do that, if you open up the Power BI desktop and connect it, it's just going to show it as a string, right? But that's not what we want to do. Just like in the desktop, we specify the data category. You got to do the same thing in the semantic model. This is exciting, right? I'm getting all excited. I'm sweating. Data just does that to me. Data. I like to get intimate with data. I spend a lot of time with data. Anyway, let me slow down. I'm talking too fast. Hang on one second. You go to properties, and you see how my data category says uncategorized. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to categorize it, and we're going to specify it as a web URL. Bam, web URL, got it specified. And finally, that's it. That's it for my tabular model. I've created my dynamic filter, because if you look at it in the column itself, you can see every time that URL is generated, it's in the context of that row. And so it's adding a new filter. It's adding a new student ID, one at a time, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Like a song, no? All right, it's adding it for each one of those rows, okay? So pretty simple, kind of same thing like I did in the Power BI desktop. What about multidimensional models? Not so simple. Check this out, right? I'm gonna go to identify the dimension in the cube that contains the value, same thing, right? So I've identified my dimension, but I need to go to my data source view. You go to your data source view and you add a name calculation. So new name calculation, dynamic, here I go with that word again, dynamic PBI filter. Go to Management Studio. You don't go to Management Studio, you use whatever text edit you want to use. And you can see I already built it out. Slightly different because the concatenation, the item, the symbol, the keystroke, the letter, the item that you use from concatenation in multidimensional models is plus instead of ampersand. So you can see pretty close. And then to identify string values, use a single quote instead of a double quote, where in DAX you use a double quote. But whatever, you know, semantics, matter of semantics, right? And so you choose it, build out that concatenation, copy it. You know, I like to build it somewhere besides that little expression window. Paste it in there and click OK. Does a nice validation for you to make sure it's ready, it works, and then there you go, your name calculation. But unlike tabular models, you are not done, right? Instead of one more step, there's two more steps. So then you go to the dimension in your multidimensional model, you take that value and you drag it and add it as an attribute to your dimension, okay? So now it'll be available in the field list, okay? You gotta process and deploy and things like that. But before you process and deploy, just like with tabular models, just like with the desktop, you gotta categorize it. But with multidimensional models, the naming is slightly different. So what you wanna do is open up the properties window and locate the basic section in the properties window and locate type. And you'll see right by default, it shows up as regular, but it's not regular. We know it's not regular. Like I'm not regular, right? Extraordinary, maybe I'm going too far. I don't know. Click the drop down box, expand other, click the plus sign next to other, locate general, and then all the way at the bottom for general, you'll see where it says WebURL. Go ahead and click it. Now you're done. Okay, now you can process, now you can deploy, now you can get it out there and start using it with Power BI. But wait, you know those commercials they say, but wait, we're not done yet, right? One more thing, right? For the same price, no, I'm just kidding, all right? Let's go back to Management Studio, because when I was working with my customer and doing this, they asked me a question, a very interesting question. It was like, Patrick, you always talk about putting stuff in the source. So why aren't we putting this in the source? And so I'm doing this specifically because of all your requests, but as a best practice, I like to do as much work in the source. Sorry, this thing keeps buzzing all the time. So I like to put as much as I can in the source than in the semantic model. And so my source in this case is SQL Server. You may not have access to the source of the data, so this may not be an option for you. But if it is an option, go ahead and give it a try, right? So I'm going to go over to Management Studio. And what I'm going to do is essentially add a custom column, a calculated column, whatever you want to call it. I forget the exact name that SQL Server product team uses when they write the documentation. Maybe, no, Adam doesn't write the documentation of this. But anyway, you go over, all to table, add a column, and you can see I'm adding my custom column here, EQ, single tick, plus, all right, building the same concatenation the same way. And if I run this, I already ran it. So if I say select star from dim student, what you're going to see is I run that, and you can see that it's repeated over and over in that details column. If you did it this way, you'd have to go back to the tabular model, for example. Let me go back to my tabular model. And you would need to go to table and go to the, excuse me, table properties. It'll open up a window. And what you'll have to do is, if I had just added this column in the tabular model, it would be unchecked. You just check it and click OK. For the multidimensional model, what you'd have to do is go to your data source view and refresh it. It'll detect if the new columns were added to the table. If there's been any schema changes, it'll identify it, put it there, and then you would repeat the steps of adding that column as an attribute to your dimension. Same steps, okay? And then you would need to also specify the properties like I did before. You need to specify the data category in the tabular model and a type in the multidimensional model. All right, so once all that's done, open up the desktop, and you can see, I'm just gonna open up a blank one, but go ahead and click Get Data. And I'm gonna show you how this works. And I'm gonna choose Analysis Services, click Connect, type in my server name, click OK. I'm using Azure Analysis Services for this demo, my first time using it. Go ahead and expand it out, choose my model, click OK. Right? And what you'll see on my student table, if I choose student SK, and then I choose, it's a lot of data out in that guy, and choose details, you'll see how it's a hyperlink. If I click on my little paintbrush, rolling pin, whatever, click the value section, I can make it nice and pretty, turn URL icon on, and voila. But just like a cooking show, right? I'm gonna give you something nice and pretty to see. So we'll go here, and you can see, I've already built a nice little campus dropout overview. And so I'm looking at 250 students that's dropped for the summer of 2007. Looks like the biology department, there's lots of students that dropped. So I'm gonna go ahead and click there, and you can see the links. Just click one of the links. I wanna look at student 15316. Click it, open it up in a browser with the parameter pass, and I can get more details about that student. You can see, I can see the student age and the gender and the state. I can see all the courses that the student had already taken, their midterm grade, their in-semester grade, whether it was on campus. Fill out the filter section, and you can see that that parameter was effectively passed. All right, what do you guys think? I've showed you a couple of different ways, probably video just a little longer than I wanted, but I wanted to get this point across because there's so much information. There's so many different ways to do it. You like it? You have other ideas, questions, comments, please post it down in the comments below. If this is your first time visiting the channel, be sure to subscribe. And if you like the video, give it a like. Also, if you don't like the video and you give it a thumbs down, tell me why. I'm always looking for constructive criticism to make the videos better. Thank you guys. And from Adam and Patrick, we'll see you guys in the next video.